one Machal Shabbos in 40 years. And the Rebbeinu went ballistic on him. And look how the Gemara makes a big deal out of Acher. Only one person.
We're going to see Acher was very unique. We're going to soon see how he was supported by the Rebbeinu Shalom. So let's see what the Gemara says. So the Gemara says, Shol Acher es Rav Meir, la'acher sheyotza l'tar b'shura. Omer, he asked him a question. It says in the pasuk, Gav ezeh l'uma zeh, this opposite that, also for Elokim. Omer loy. So Acher told Rav Meir. I'm sorry. Acher asked Rav Meir, so Rav Meir answered. Omer loy, kol ma shabara kadosh baruch hu, whatever Kadosh Baruch Hu created in the world, bara kenegdoi, he created keneged that, what you would call sort of an equalizing creation. Bara harim, Kadosh Baruch Hu created high mountains, bara gavayis, he created lowlands, bara yamim, he created great big oceans, bara naharis, he created small rivers. Amar loy. So Acher answered back, Rabbi Kiva Rabba Chaloi Omer Kach. That's not what Rabbi Kiva, your Rebbe, said. Ella, what he said was Bara Tzadikim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Tzadikim, Bara Rishoyim, Bara Gan Eden, Bara Gehinnom. Kol Echad ve'Echad yesh lo shnei chalokim. And every person gets himself an office in two places. Echad b'Gan Eden, ve'Echad b'Gehinnom. Zocha, if he zocha, not al chelkoi ve'chelek chaver b'Gan Eden. Not only will he take his Gan Eden, he'll take his friend's Gan Eden. Nischayiv, Rasha, not al chelkoi v'chelek chaver b'Gehinnom. And all of the Mefarshim asks, but what's pshat? Why should he take his chaver's chelik? So there's a lot of Torah about it. There's one shtickle that we're all famous with, that the Chavetz Chaim says that if someone speaks lashon hara, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is gives his chaverim, whoever he spoke about will get his chelik in Gan Eden, and he'll take his friend's chelik in Gehenna.
Why does the Gemara immediately assume that my father is not going to deserve his own thing?
It's speaking if there is a Russia.
What I mean to really ask.
Why are you friendly with the Russia for it?
No. Why does the Gemara assume that there's going to be Rishon? It's like an automatic thing. There's going to be Rishon. Like, Kulam Tzadikim.
The Amech Kulam Tzadikim. I hear. It's a good heart. So what do you think?
No, I don't know.
It's a good heart. So Talmidei Chacham are often spoken bad about. They're often berated. So that's what it means. But there are those who learn a little differently. And they learn when someone does a mitzvah, it creates vibes of mitzvahs. It creates an energy of mitzvahs, and it induces others around them to do mitzvahs. On the other hand, if someone does a virus, it does chas v'shalom the opposite. So therefore, the tzaddik has a little bit of rights to Yedim's mitzvahs, and the Russia has rights to other people's affairs. And the third shot that I heard was the tzaddik who does mitzvahs, he's mashpia toiv on the world. So Mamela, he's already provided good things to the Russia, and therefore he's entitled to some of the good that the Russia has. Omer Reb Misharsha, Makra, what's the pasuk to allude to this? Tzadikim siv l'chein ba'artzem mishna yishu. They'll have a double chelik, double yashin. Rabbi Shem siv u'mishna shivron sivram. Their chelik will be a double chelik of brokenness. So you see that there's this concept that the tzaddik is zoiche to the Gan Eden left over by others, and vice versa. Shol acher Rav Meir. So there's a Mefarshim who say that when Acher said this over, he said, even my Gan Eden, even my good is going to go to a tzaddik. So why would I want to come back and do tshuva? I'm so messed up. Not only am I not going to get schar for the mitzvahs that I didn't do, I'm not even going to get schar for the mitzvahs that I did do. And not only am I going to get an oynish for that verse that I did, I'm going to get an oynish for the verse that others did. So it sort of discouraged him from wanting to do tshuva.
He never learned Yosy Simon.
That's right. Shol acher es Reb Meir. Acher sheyotza l'tar b'shra. And what did he ask? My dechsiv Loy archena zohab uzuchuchis u'tmurasa klipos. Torah is so great you can't compare it to gold or to glass, and jewels and gems are tumuras Torah. Amar loy. So he told him, Elu. So Rav Meir answered, Elu divrei Torah, shekashin l'knoisam kechlizov. It's the problem that he was asking, is if it's loyer chenu zov, if you can't compare the Torah to gold, so what's the same as chuchas? You for sure can't compare it to chuchas because chuchas is even less valuable than gold. So Rav Meir answered, Elu divrei Torah shekashin l'knoisam kechlizov. They're very expensive. They're difficult to acquire, like Chizab, but the Noichin la'avdan kechlez chuchas. But they're very easy to destroy. They say reputations are like crystals, very difficult to acquire, but very easy to shatter. Amr loy. So once again, Acher answered back, Rabbi Kippur Rabbi Chloi Amar Kach, Ella maklez avuchlez chuchas, just like gold and glass. Aval b'shenishbru, even though they break, yesh lehem takana. They could be fixed, they can be repaired. Even though he messed up, he can be fixed. So this is the shot that Reb Meir, that Acher himself sent over to Reb Meir, B'Shem Rebbe Kiva. So Amar Loi, so Reb Meir told his Rebbe, no, you were saying this verse, B'Shem Rebbe Kiva, so you could be Chazar B'Tshuva. Amar Loi, it's too late. Kvar Shamati me'achari aparged, Shuvu Bonim Shevavim, Chutz me'acher. So the question is, why would there be a baskel that says that? So there's a lot of Torah on this. So one of the things that they say is that Shuva Bam Shabam Chutz me'acher doesn't mean Acher will not be able to do tshuva. It means Acher is at the point where a Messiah knows he lost his tshuva. But Avada, they're not inviting him to do tshuva. But Avada tshuva is always accepted. There's no such thing as tshuva being rejected. We're going to soon see that he still had a very close connection with the Rebbeinu Shalom, even in his evilness. But there are those who learn that Hitaka didn't hear the Baskel from Shomayim, he heard it from the Sitra Achara. That's why he heard Chutz Me'acher. It was not the Rebbeinu Shalom that was telling him, I'm pushing you away. It was the Sitra Achara. Since he unplugged, he unplugged from the Rebbeinu Shalom up there when he was the Pardes, and he plugged in to the Sitra Achara, so he was getting bad messages. His feed was hacked. His Baskel feed got hacked, and he was getting wrong messages. Thunder Rabbanan. Once upon a time, Acher Shoyeroichiv ala sus b'Shabbos. He was riding a horse on Shabbos, and he was schmoozing and learning with his Talmud Reb Meir. By Reb Meir Mahalach Achra. Reb Meir was, of course, walking. Lil my Torah mipiv, to learn Torah from Reb Meir, from Acher. Amar Loi. So all of a sudden Acher stopped and says, Meir, Chazar la'acharecha, you can't go further anymore. You know why? Shekvar shi'arti v'ikvei susi, I already figured out based on the steps of my horse that at Cham Tchum Shabbos, you cannot pass it because you don't want to be over on Tchumen. I'm on my way. Amalei, so Meir told him, Rebbe, why don't you be Choshev B'Tshuva? And you also stop, so you shouldn't go over the Tchum. Amalei, so he told his Talmud, have I not told you already that I'm hopeless? So Reb Meir must have been a strong man. He grabbed his Rebbe. He took him into the Beis Medrash. He told the child, right? This has always been done through generations. You ask a little child from the mouth of babes to say over what they learned, and that's like a nevuah, like the famous shtickle with Mordechai. He had 3 kids, and one said, "Al tirmi pachat pisay v'mishoy v'shom kisavoy," and the next kid said, "Utza etzav v'sufa d'abedov layakom," and the third kid said, "Adzikna and Yespel." So, and this great nevuah is read into that. So the same thing happened here. Amar Loi, what did the child say? Ein shalom Amar Hashem l'Yisrael. There's no peace for Yisrael. So Rabbi says, oops, that's not what I was looking to hear. Let's try another child. Let's go to another Beis Medrash. Isn't it unbelievable over there? We're going to see there were 13 shuls he went to, and all 13 shuls had kids in them. Could you imagine if all our shuls in Toronto was full and bustling with children? But that's how every shul was. So Amalai Yanuka, he told another child in another Ishmael, Amalai, Ki Imtachapsi Beneser, Misabilach Buris, even if you're going to wash and scrub and clean with detergents, Nichtem Avoynach Lefanai. So Rabbi said, no, that's not what I was looking to hear either. So he tried another Bishmedish. Amalai Yanuka, he told the child, maybe you have something that will be more conducive to convincing my Rebbe to do tshuva. Amalei Veshadoid, and the person who's abandoned, Matasi. What will it help? If you dress up in beautiful clothing, Kisadi Adizov, if you adorn yourself with gold, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. There's no use for you. There's nothing you could do. Rabbi said, that's not what I was looking for either. He took him over. So Rabbi Meir took Acher, dragged him into 13 different shuls. Kulu Pasku like Gavna. Every single child said over something that Rabbi Meir didn't want to hear. And Labasra, when he got to the 13th Besmedrish, Amr like Psakli Psukach, Amr, what did the child say? Villa Russia, Amr Alakim, and to the Russia, the Rebbe said, you don't have to learn my Torah, I don't need you, I don't want you. But this child didn't speak clearly. Ishtama, it sounded like, instead of Ula Russia, it sounded like he said, Ishtama Kamad Amr Ula Elisha Amar Elakim. So it sounded like Ula Elisha Amar Lakim, Malach Lasapahugde. So that was like it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back wherever he went. And now it was specifically addressed to Elisha that the Rebbe doesn't want it. So Ikadami, there are those who learn that Sakina Hava Bahadei, he had a knife with him. Vikare, and he cut up the child, Shadi Lasesim like history in 13 pieces, and he put his pieces of his body in 13 Batim Midrashim. And the Ben Yehoyada says, how is that possible? How would Rebbe Meir have let him do that? And Rebbe Meir was the top guy. Rebbe Meir was the one who grabbed him and slept in there. So it means that he took the sefer and he cut it into 13 pieces, not the child. Ikadamri, Amar, he said, if I had a knife, have a Quran. It's funny because even though he didn't want to do tshuva, he wanted to leave his options open, and it bothered him when people said that he couldn't do tshuva. It's that Jewish guilt. What do I need you to learn my Torah, to say my halachas? If anyway you're going to get burned. Let's see the pasuk says for the Rosh to carry my bris on your mouth. You're hopeless. Guilty, then he's innocent. Children sent him a message that he didn't want to hear. I hear. So that should have been a signal to him that, there's collusion here. Very good. I hear. So when Acher died, so Acher had a problem. They had a problem with Acher. What are we going to do with this Acher? Amri, Loy made in Ladina, we can't put him into Gehinnom because he was a Russia. But Lacy, and we can't bring him into Olam Haba either because he did so many averes. So we can't tip Gehinnom because he has Torah. He was a huge Talmid Chacham. But we can't take him into Olam Haba because he has all these averes. So what should we do? He was Ashik B'Torah. So how can we throw him into Gehinnom? So he was in purgatory. I guess that's where we would say he was in limbo. So Reb Meir said, "Mutav de l'daine." It's worthwhile for him to go to Gehinnom. Let my Rebbe go to Gehinnom. Let my Rebbe go straight to hell. The leisi la'almud asi, but at the least through Gehinnom will have a kapara, and his neshama will be nisakin, and then he'll be able to go into Olam Haba. So Reb Meir said, "Masay Amos, when I die, the Ella Eshem Kibori, I'm going to drag. I'm going to get him in. I'm going to get Reb Meir. I'm going to get Acher into Gehinnom. Could you imagine? You need pull to get him to Gehinnom. I'm going to get my Rebbe into Gehinnom, and the smoke going up from his kever will be an indication that he's in Gehinnom. And sure enough, Kinach Nashid Reb Meir, and Reb Meir was nifter, Solik Kotrim and Kibbutz Acher. There started smoke rising from the cave of Acher to indicate that Reb Meir was able to get with a lot of pull. He was able to get Acher to Gehinnom. Amar Reb Yochanan said, "Gevorta lamikle Rabbi." Is that a good idea? Is that like you're proud of that you got your Rebbe into Gehinnom? Let's see. Rashi. Lamikle Rabbi benura chadav. It's such a good thing to get your Rebbe into Gehinnom. Binina v'loy matzinin la'tzulay. So you're saying it's a good thing and you couldn't save him. Inakte biyad man marmalay man. If I go there and grab Acher by the hand and take him into Gan Eden, who's going to be able to stop me? Man marmalay man. Who's going to be able to stop me? Rashi says man really means the second man means minoi. Who will be able to stop me? So Rabbi Yochanan was, I'm going to get into Gehinnom, pull out Acher, and I'm going to bring him into Gan Eden. And who's going to stop me? Huh?
How can the Moira argue on a comment? We don't see a clear distinction between them.
I don't know. These are good questions, but how do we understand someone going into Gan Eden, to Gehinnom, pulling people out? All of these things.
We might not understand how it's done, but the concept is there. There is Gehinnom, even though we don't understand what it is. Right. There is a Reb Meir, there is an Acher. These were real people. This is not allegorical, right?
Right.
So here we have, however, we have a general rule that a Tana is never supposed to be messed with by an Amora.
You can't argue the halacha on the time.
Right. But why?
Maybe an Amora would have a schus to get someone out of Gehinnom. Okay. And it makes sense. It makes sense because as a person, as time goes on, the schusim that a person has builds over time because of multi-level marketing.
Right. Came in later.
So, right. So the later Rabbi Yochanan came, Rabbi Yochanan was later than Rabbi Meir. So at that time, maybe Elisha ben Avuya's schusim grew in that time.
How does this grow?
Because of people who he impacted. Rabbi Meir's Talmid, right? Okay. So could be Rabbi Yochanan had a little bit of help. I don't know how these things work. Amar, he said, what does it mean? How do you touch the words? I didn't touch the words properly. So he said, Rabbi Yochanan said, Geburta lamikle Rabbi chadav. Is that such a good thing? So what is binina v'lei matzin latzulei? How does our touch those words? Binina or chat have beinana? Oh, that's it. Chat have beinana. Rabbi Yochanan was amongst us. V'lei matzin latzulei. We can't save him. Is that how he touches? Anybody? I thought in Chat Hava Beinana, someone was amongst us and we couldn't save him? Or is that what he says? And we can't save him?
Is that thing working? Like we have an item over there, everybody's so quiet.
No, the Zolti is here, Victor's here, and Benzi Bench is here, but they're all on mute. Okay, so Zok to Gemara. You're making such good comments, I don't want to listen to them.
No, I don't hear anything from Benzi.
Zok to Gemara weiter. Inokte. Biyad man marmaliman. Amar, he said, Mosai Almas, when am I going to die? Rabbi Yochanan said, V'chava Osha mikivri. I'll put out the flame. I'll put out the smoke from the caver of Elisha ben Avuya, because I'll drag him into Gan Eden. So Kinach Nashid Rabbi Yochanan, Pasak Kutre mikivri da'acher. Unbelievable. Rabbi Yochanan was able to pull him in to Gan Eden. Pasak alai who's abdana. So the person who was masked with Rabbi Yochanan said, Afilu shomer ha-Pesach, even the guard of Gan Eden, who's not supposed to let anybody in unless they have a membership card. I'm sorry, the guard of Gehinnom, Rashi. Shomer Pesach shall Gehinnom, even the Shomer Pesach of Gehinnom, who doesn't let anybody out so easily, Amad lefanecha Rabbeinu, couldn't stand before you, Rabbi Yochanan, and prevent you from pulling people out of Gehinnom. So we have many people in our stories who save people from Gehinnom, right? We have Avram Avinu who said anybody who has a bris, I'm going to pull him out of Gehinnom. We have Rav Nachman Breslover who said anybody who has payas, I'm going to pull him out of Gehinnom. And then you have Rabbi Yochanan, who says, I'm going to take massive Talmid Chacham who urged with her, I'll pull him out of Gehinnom.
Yes, you know the joke. You know the joke that went around.
The best way to be pulled out of Gehinnom.
No.
Yeah, the best way to be pulled out is with your Torah, not with your pays, and definitely not with your...
No, that Lubavitcher is in Gehinnom. A Lubavitcher, a Breslover, and a Litvak are all in Gehinnom. You know this one? You don't know this?
So there's so many. I want to hear it.
Okay, so the Lubavitcher Rebbe comes down and says, "You did so much shlichus. You made brought back so many Yiddish neshamas. Come with me. We're getting out of here. He takes him out. Rav Nachman comes in and says, you had so much emunah and so much joy. What are you doing here? He grabs him. He takes him out. Litvish Rosh Hashiva comes in and says, no, I told you.
But I heard a comeback on that. That the Litvak said, there's no Breslovers here. There's no Hasidim here. It's a mamish Gneiden. But I heard a different story. I heard that the Lubavitcher Rebbe came, and this guy screaming, Rebbe, get me out of here. So the Rebbe says, tell me, do you have a shliach? Is there a shliach here already? No, okay, you could be the shliach. The daughter of Acher was struggling financially, and she came for help to Rebbe. Omer lei, Rebbe Parnaseni, help me out. Omer la, bas miat, who's your father? Omer la, biti shalachani. Omer la, he said, what? Adayin yesh mizare ba'olam. I can't believe that Acher still has progeny in the world. V'aksiv, it says in the pasuk, loy nin loy, v'loy neched ba'amoy, vein tzrid b'megurav. In the pasuk is talking about a Russia. A Russia will be totally eliminated. I can't believe that he still has a daughter around. Amr loy, so she told him, remember his Torah and don't remember his Maisa. Miyad yarda H. Can you imagine a fire came down from Shemayim for Acher? That's why you see Acher had a lot of strong support by the Rebbeinu Shalom. And it singed the chair of Rebbe. So Bocha Rebbe V'Amar, Rebbe cried and he said, if a Russia has such support from the Rebbeinu Shalom, because it was a Melos B'Torah, imagine how the Rebbeinu Shalom fights for the Tzaddikim. Right, Gemara, Rav Meir, Heichi Gomer Torah B'Kumid Acher. How would your mayor take on such a Rebbe like Acher, who is a Russia? V'Amar Rabba Bar Barchana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. It says in the pasuk, the lips of a kohen will protect das. The Torah yivakshim mipiu, and you should learn Torah from this person. You should seek Torah from this person. What does that mean? And the pasuk goes on. Why should you look to learn Torah from him? He malach Hashem tzavakas, because he's a malach. And we darshan im doima rav malach Hashem tzavakas. If a rebbe is like a malach, only then yivakshim Torah mipiu. But if he's a rasha like Acher, al yivakshim Torah mipiu. So how is it possible that a mayor would take on as a rebbe someone who doesn't fit the exact description of the pasuk that your rebbe has to be an angel? So I actually heard a beautiful part by Rav Bruderman's Levaya, Rav Kalefsis Zatzal spoke, and he said that when I started as a young man working for Rabbi Ruderman, being a Maggid Shir for him, it was my first position as a Maggid Shir, and I was very overwhelmed. And because of that, all day, all I did was prepare for my class, but I had no time to work on myself, to learn new things, and to continue to develop myself. So I felt very bad. I felt like I was stagnant and I wasn't getting anywhere. So I went to share my worry with Rosh Hashiva, the Ruderman Zatzal. The Ruderman told me, it says in the Haktomet, the Sefer Aflo, this word. It says, what is a malach? So Dr. Aflo, a malach is someone who has one task. A malach is tasked usually with one job to do. And you're a malach, meaning your whole focus in life has to be your talmidim, and therefore you shouldn't worry that you don't have time to do self-development, because that's exactly what the pasuk says. The Rebbe is supposed to be like a malach. Someone else told me that a malach also is an oimid. A malach is not growing anymore. So to a Rebbe, once he becomes a Rebbe, all his focus has to be in the growth of his talmidim, not on his own personal growth anymore. Anyway.
As far as the question of how could Rav Meir choose Acher as a Rebbe, I understood that he was his Rebbe before he became Acher. When he was the, yeah.
But why didn't he leave the yeshiva and go to a different yeshiva?
What's that?
What's that? Why did he stay in the Acher yeshiva?
What do you mean? Acher wasn't the Rosh Yeshiva after he became Acher?
No, I said, but he could have went to get a new Rebbe. Rav Meir could have went to get a new Rebbe.
He was already past the yeshiva, but it was still his Rebbe.
it seems like he was still continuing to learn Torah from Acher even after Acher went bad.
No.
Well, he wasn't an alumni. He was still an active student. He was still paying tuition.
Okay.
Didn't Rabbi Meir become one of the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva? When did
One
that
second, Dr. Goldar saying something. What?
Partial answer to the question, because, unfortunately, many of our parents and grandparents went to Gehinnom, and many of them came out, they were lost. Some of them came out, they were,
Oh, we're going to get to that. We're going to get the Gemara is going to discuss that.
but some of them basically came out in here to go into the shul of the book. They'll learn, but basically they're in essence angry with the Rabbanu Shalom. How can you have this?
So the Gemara is going to discuss that.
So basically they're showing there's one aspect.
Uh-huh.
How can you-
They're not at peace with the Rebbeinu Shalom. I hear. I figure what you're saying.
When did Rabbi Meir become a Talmud of Rabbi Akiva?
So David's Tainik, he was a Talmud. I don't know. I guess after Acher died, maybe. No, it couldn't be because it discussed it. Rebbe was discussing it. I'm not sure. Right. Right.
One of them.
Was Rabbi Meir? But when did he become a Talmud?
In relation to what? When did
In relation to Acher. In relation to. So he must be a Talmud of Acher and a Talmud of Akiva at the same time. Okay. So Amar Shlokish. So Reb Meir Kra Ashkech Madarish. He found the pasuk that says, in fact, you are allowed to learn from a Rebbe who's not a Talmud, not a tzaddik. Because it says Hat Ozdecha Ushma. Lean your ear over and listen. Divrei Chachamim, the words of Chachamim. The libcha, but your heart, Tashish Lidaiti. You should listen to my das, meaning the Rebbeinu Shalom's das. Lidai Tom Nemar. It doesn't say you should take your shkabas from them, from your Rebbeim. El Lidati. So you see that you could take Torah from a Rebbe, but you don't necessarily have to learn from him how to behave. There you learn from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Rabbi Chanina had another project to show such a concept. It says Shemi Basuri Vati Oznech. Listen, the Shikhi Amechu Beisavich, but forget your nation and your father's household. In other words, listen to the Torah, but forget their actions. So at the end of the day, we have one passage that says that only then you've actually turned with you. Now we have psukim that say you could learn from somebody who's a Rasha. So someone who's old enough and mature enough to know how to separate the good from the bad and could only take the good, like Reb Meir, he's allowed to have a Rebbe like Acher. But a young child who doesn't know how to make that distinction, and he will learn from his Rebbe everything, he has to make sure only to take a Rebbe who's a Malach Hashem Tzavakis. Kiyasar Abdimi Omar, Ami b'Marava, Reb Meir Achal Tichla B'Shad Shichla. He took a date and he ate the meat, but he threw away the pit. Now the Reb Meir knew how to separate the good from the bad. B'Shad Shichla Lebra. Dorish Rabbi Maidich Siv, it says Al Ginas Ego Yiradati. This is a beautiful passage from Shir Shirim. It's a beautiful song. I went to the garden of the nut referring to the Talmud Chacham. Why are Talmid Chachamim compared to nuts? Please do not answer that question. A nut could fall into the mud. It's not ruined because you could wash it off. Its core stays beautiful. Af Talmud Chacham, Af Apisha Sarach, into Rush in the messes, its Torah is protected. Ashkechei Rabbi Barshila Elio. Rabbi Barshila bumped into Elio. This was like a routine in their lives. Oh, Elio, how you doing today? Amar Lei, my cover Kodesh Baruch Hu. He asked Elio, so what's the Rebbeinu Shalom up to today? This is like the casual conversation. What's the Rebbeinu Shalom doing today? Amar Lei, Ka'amar Shmaitzim Kumai Dechulu Rabbanim. He's saying over Torah from all the Talmid Chacham. So Rebbeinu Shalom shmuzes on learning. He says over the Torah that people say. But he's not quoting anything from Reb Meir. Amar le Amai. So he asked Elio, why wouldn't the Rebbeinu Shalom quote from the Heilig Reb Meir? Elio said, because the Rebbeinu Shalom knows that Reb Meir's Torah came from Acher. Amar le Amai. So he asked him, Rabbi Barshila asked Elio, why would that prevent the Rebbeinu Shalom from quoting Reb Meir's Torah? Reb Meir matzah, remind matzah, he found a pomegranate. Toichai achal, he ate the delicious fruit. but klipa zarak, and he threw out the klipa. Amarle, so Hakadosh Baruch Hu listened to what Rabbi Bashila said. Hashta ka'amar. Now the Rebbeinu Shem is saying, Meir b'ni Omer, and he's quoting from a Meir that we'll get to in a second. So there's three mashalim here. There's the mashal of the nut, there's the mashal of eating the inside and throwing out the klipa, and then there's the message of eating the outside, eating the meat of the fruit and throwing out the pit. So the Mepharshim tell us that the different mishalim are, one is referring to the midos, which he didn't take, and one's referring to the meisim that he didn't take from Acher, and one's referring to the Torah that he did take from Acher. So I guess where it says he took the fruit and threw out the klipa, which is by the Rimois, so there it's referring to the Torah as the Torah is the fruit, and the klipa is the bad things that are external to him. And when it talks about eating the date and throwing out the pit, so I don't know clear in why there it's represented as a pit, but it's referring to the two things, the Torah and then there's the mitos. Zok Gemara. What did the Rebbeinu Shem say over in the name of Meir? Is man sha'adam mitztayer. If someone's suffering, shchina ma loshen omer. What does the shchina say? Kaleni miroshi. Oh, my head's hurting me. Kaleni mizari, my arm's hurting me. In other words, the shchina feels the tsar of a person. So Gemara imkacha kadosh baruch hu al daman shal rishoyim. If that's how the Kadosh Baruch Hu is being mitzvah of the Dam Shosha, meaning if Adam is mitzvah, it's because he did a various and he's getting punished, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu feels their pain. Al daman shel tzadikim shenishbach. Surely, when tzadikim are being hurt, kol shekin the Rebbeinu Shem feels our tzar. Askechei Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda the tali be'ibr dedosha v'chabachi. Shmuel saw Rabbi Yehuda was leaning on the door hinge, and he was crying. Amalei shinina, sharp one. Amai kabachas, why are you crying? Amalei mi zutra my dechsiv behu b'Rabbanan. Is it small to you what it says in the pasuk referring to the Rabbanan? Aye sofer. It's talking about somebody who went off to there. Aye sofer, where's the sofer? Aye shokel, where's the one who's weighing things? Aye sofer as a migdalim. Where is the sofer who counts these towers? What does this mean? Aye sofer. So you soferim kol oisiyah shebetayah. This person who turned bad. So where is he who used to count all the oisis of the Torah and darshan every word? Aye shokel. So you shokel kalin v'chamurin shebetayah, that would be able to learn drushes and kal v'chaimers, and would understand where there's a kal, where there's a chaimer, and where you can make a kal v'chaimer. And aye sofer es migdalim. So you shine in shalosh meyas hilchais halachais b'migdal haperech ba'aver. They learned 3 halachas about the subject of migdal haperech ba'aver. And Rashi has 3 pshatim in what this might mean. Either migdal haperech ba'aver is referring to the letter lamed, where the top of the lamed is high up, and it's talking about they have 300 halachas about how you write the letter lamed, or it's referring to, oh, I forgot the second one. Or it's referring to the height of the tower of the flood, right? Or 300 shilas about the height of the tower of Bavel. But the third shot is there's actually a shilah in Oilais about a migdal haperech ba'aver, and there's a question if part of it is exposed to tumah, if the tumah inside it, it's a big shilah in Oilais. So there was 300 shilas in Hilchos Oilais. So where are these great Talmidei Chacham? Nebuch, they went off the derech, but they were great Talmidei Chacham. Ramabami, plus meya boy, 300 shilas, bo doig b'achitoyfel, who were both Rishoyim, but they had 300 shilas b'migdal haperech ba'aver in this same subject, depending on which one of the 3 subjects it is that Rashi mentions. Utnan, and we learned Gimel Malachas, 3 kings, Gimel Malachim, 3 kings, Barba Hedyoitais, and 4 Hedyoitais, Ein Lahem Chelek Leilam Haba. Do not have a Chelek Leilam Haba. Who are the Dalet Hedyoitais that we're talking about? Rashi says Bilam, Doig, Achitoyfel, and Gechazi. So he was pointing out, Rabami was pointing out, Doig and Achitoyfel, they don't have a Chelek Leilam Haba, but they were able to discuss 300 shilas. They were such oiskim b'Torah. They were able to discuss 300 trials in migdal haperech ba'aver. Anan ma tahavi alon. Us who don't have that depth and understanding of Torah that they had, what's going to be with us? Omer lei. So this is the main answer. In other words, his question is, if there was such gedolim in Torah, How is it that they sunk so low? And how are we protected? How will we be protected not to sink low with our Torah that doesn't come close to their Torah? So Amalei Shinina sharp one, Tina Haisa Belibam. And this is what unlocks the mystery of how this happened. And Rashi Tina Haisa Belibam, Rishoim Hayim Yameim. Don't think Acher was a big tzaddik all along, and suddenly something caused him to go off. He was the same Rasha before this story happened with Metatron as he is now. So he was always bad. And I know my Shver used to tell me about people who weren't from. He says, don't think the Holocaust made them cry. I can tell you they were puzzled before the Holocaust too. The Holocaust is a good excuse. So I wouldn't say that. My Shver went through it. He was able to say that. So Zok to Gemara. That's what. So you don't have to worry about Yehuda. You're an Erlich Yid. You don't have to worry that you're going to turn back. Acher Mai. Where did his affairs come from? Zemar Yevoni Leipasek Mapume. He used to sing Goyish music. So everyone jumps. Oh, must be that Goyish music makes you into an apikoros. But Rashi actually tells us a little bit more information. Rashi is V'hoyeloi le'aniach b'shvil churban habayis. There wasn't an avil per se that he was into music. The avil was that after the churban bayis, you're not allowed to listen to music. And Reb Moshe Paskins, like it says in the Beit Reb Moshe is very strict about it. Reb Moshe told you're not allowed to listen to music, even recorded music. You know, according to Reb Moshe, in all these tapes, the whole music industry should be shut down. According to Reb Moshe, you're not allowed to listen to music.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Rabbi Noble used to say that maybe if you're driving in a car and you're going to fall asleep, so you need something to keep you up, so you can listen to music, which times you can. But there's a lot of poskim who argue. Reb Moshe is a yochid.
Good. Then Rabbi Noble should understand that there are times when you have to listen to music. Rabbi Noble should be able to say and understand that this is every single time.
Yeah, okay. It could be, especially now that was depressed. Gemara, Amr Level Acher. They said a very interesting story about Acher. This is Gavalti. He was so orangutan of learning. When he would stand up in the Besmedrash, he was harder than learning. He didn't even realize what was going on. When we stood up, meaning when he would stand up, he used to have books, apicursus of books in his pocket. So he would, when he was struggling and learning, these books would fall out. They oops, and they put it back in quickly. Not even noticing all these apicursus of books would come out of him. So, and even when he was in the Besmedrash, he was already corrupted. Let's just do one more thing. Shol nimus agadish of mayor. Kol amar de nachas l'yoyra solid. Anytime you put wool into the pot to dye, does it always work out well? In other words, anyone who goes to yeshiva, will he be guaranteed to be successful? When we're like komanda havanaki agavime solid. Called the loy havanaka agavime loy solid. If when the wedding was pure, Rashi says, so in the slachlech begiza, it didn't become dirty when it was being cut. In other words, before it had a chance to get dirty, it was able to be immersed into the pot of dye or the yeshiva. So then he'll be okay. And what does that mean? If before he got dyed, before he put into the Torah, he read it years chet, that's when he'll be successful. But Reb Meir Reb Acher didn't even have Yer Shemaim when he went to yeshiva, because he came to yeshiva with these apicursus books. Okay, we'll stop here. Today's daf is really Tes Zayin, and tomorrow's daf is Yud Zayin. So what I'd like to do is we'll learn an hour before Mincha, so we have an extra 15 minutes. I don't know if we'll be able to be finished with two blot, but we'll do our best to catch up. And Mitra Motzei Shabbos will do a repeat. I'm going to end up starting early. I think I'm starting at 8 o'clock Motzei Shabbos with the Olam from Daniel Finkelshire, and we'll start at 8:30 because they're a little bit behind. They didn't get up here yet. I'm going to have to catch up with them so that by the time 8:30 arrives, we'll all be up to here, and then we'll continue from here. Okay, Shkoyach, have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos. Our learning should be a schus and a refu shalema for Shimon Yehuda ben Rivka and Shimon ben Chasia, and for Yisrael Moshe ben Yenta Gittel, and Moshe ben Sora, and there was one person that I didn't mention, Yaakov Shmuel ben Chana. Should all have refu shalema.
This Reb Moshe I always